So we're just, I think we're connected online now, and hopefully, hi, I think now we're connected, so we're online. So I want to thank all my viewers. So welcome to the Crypto Singh show. My name is Gunpreet Singh, and we talk about Bitcoin, metaverse, everything on this show. Today we have a special guest with us, and his name is Scott, and he is the person who is into technology, into education. He loves it, it's his passion. He's been a air force veteran, and now he's taken up DeFi, and we'll talk everything about cryptocurrencies, and especially one of the most hyped crypto, which is the Ethereum, and the merge, the effect on it. And we will talk about his journey into the crypto industry and his thoughts on it. So I welcome Scott. I welcome you on to the show. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and taking time off.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to interaction here. And
And I want to firstly congratulate you for your anniversary and the and being a grandparent.
oh, well,
And
well, thank you. Yes, just celebrated my 40th anniversary with my wonderful wife and the birth of our first granddaughter.
wow.
So exciting times in the Herman household.
And I know we had this discussion, but would you like to tell the viewers what you gifted your granddaughter?
Sure. Um, at my daughter's baby shower, I gave her a hard wallet with some Bitcoin and Ethereum for the baby. So she starts off on the right foot.
Nice. So, so that is something to learn from you. Now we know what to give.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure she started off on the right foot. So hopefully that will, continue to grow as she grows and
No, absolutely.
continue to add to as she ages. And so it's all set in a hard wallet, so I can continue to add as her birthdays and special occasions, continue.
It's a lovely gift to give to give anyone, and I hope you've given the same to your wife as well.
No, we just gift ourselves 40 years together.
No, it is. So tell us, Scott, tell us about your journey into this entire crypto space, and what are your thoughts or view on this entire thing? I know you've done studies in cryptographic analysis. Tell us bit about the courses that you've done and this the cryptographic analysis that you've done from NSA.
Sure. Well, out of high school, I joined the Air Force, and I knew that wanted to be a dentist my whole life. So I joined the Air Force to be a dental assistant because I didn't have my degrees or anything yet. And so, anyway, turns out after basic training that there were no openings for becoming a dental assistant. And because of my high scores on the testing, they said, "Well, how would you like to become in the top 2% of the Air Force in cryptographic analysis?" And I said, "Oh, sure." I was young, and so anyway, I
Wow.
was indoctrinated into the system, kind of unbeknownst to me that was an avenue that I would be interested in. And it turns out that because of in my training, I was doing very well. So I ended up getting stationed at NSA, and the top dog in the field as far as the analysis goes uh, for the United States. And so I had a wonderful journey when I mean the computers were the size of a room, literally. Um, and you could only go and stay in that room for so long because it was so cold. They had to keep the computers cool because they were so enormous. But
Wow.
anyway, I had my venture in that, and then I went on to my studies and became a dentist. So I received my doctorate, and 30 years of doing that, and taking thousands of hours of continuing ed, and many courses and trainings throughout the my career. And I retired and got to the point where, well, what am I interested in doing now in my second profession? And ended up uh, entering a course with Michael Hearn, who has a uncensored crypto course. And what he did was he spent $1 million of his own money traveling around and interviewing the top 10 crypto people in the community. And Brian Rose was one of his interviews. So I got introduced to Brian, and I took Michael Hearn's course, and then I jumped into London Real with Brian Rose, and took the two courses with him, which is how I met you.
Right.
And so I just have continued along, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of continuing ed, and finally got to the point where I'm like, it's time for me to share and thank all of the professors and mentors and colleagues over the years that I've taken, and start to share that information. So that's where I'm at on my journey right now.
Wow. That's nice. And as we spoke, I think you are on your next leg, which would be, I think, your priority now to even start a YouTube channel very soon, I think, and educate the others as well.
Correct. Yes. Yes. I'm currently taking another course with Tony Robbins, and it's about putting your product out there,
Right.
and and so that's my what I'm working on right now. I feel very comfortable in the crypto space after taking some courses with Tika Tiwari and Andreas Antonopoulos, and of course London Rio.
Right.
And thanks to Brian Rose, for putting me in this mindset.
Right. And and what's your take on the, so I mean, you did educate yourself and studying and getting into cryptocurrencies. How did that actually happen, or how did you thought of getting did you get into the stock market as well, or was it crypto, or how did this entire crypto space came about?
Okay. Well, yeah. I near the end of my career, excuse me, I became quite ill, and actually was hospitalized for 3.5 months.
Oh,
And I was just in the process of beginning to transition out of my career and looking at an associate, and eventually selling my practice. Well, anyway, long story short, I almost died 3 times in the hospital. It was that critical.
my.
Um, so anyway, I kept my practice going for my patients of 30 years, with knowing that it was going to, without me practicing as a solo practitioner, uh, use my personal funds to keep the practice going so that my patients were taken care of, and my wonderful staff. And anyway, so I ended up without being in the practice for a year, is what it took between the time I got ill and selling. So basically, my finances took a great hit. So I said, what do I need to do to in my next endeavor? And my finances were of utmost importance. So I said, what is my biggest struggle right now is finances. So that's what I'm going to delve into.
Wow.
I always attack what my greatest fault is, and because that's just my mindset. That's if something is lacking, that's what I attack. So that's what I said I was going to do. So I spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day going through uh, crypto is what I ended up going into after you had asked about stocks and that. I've been doing stocks for quite a while. I trade every day
Wow.
currently and have been for quite a while. I swing trade with options, and so that's what eventually led me into
Became
crypto.
crypto. Right.
And once I found crypto, it was like, aha, that was my aha moment. It's like this is where I was supposed to be. That's why, back in I go back to my Air Force training in crypto, and it was like this is where I was meant to be. So it was enlightening,
Wow.
and it's put total turnaround from 40 years ago, back when I was in the Air Force, and that's what that training was for. It was all meant to be.
Wow. I think you've seen it all, isn't it? In under, I mean, 30 or 35 years, I think the world has changed. And as you said, there were computers as big as our rooms, and you had to keep them cool. And to what it is today, to P2P transactions happening around the world, I mean, things have really changed.
Oh, immensely, and this is my passion. This is worldwide. My logo is going to be the globe, the for my new company. Um, and I just had my son helping me with some of the graphics to put my logo together. But yeah, crypto is definitely an emerging field that is just so exciting and so enticing, and I'm so passionate about it. Um, I have a stack of books on my right here, all with various authors that I continuously uh, gain more and more knowledge on, because the crypto field is so advanced, and it
Massive.
and it is
Yeah.
so and massive that there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. No,
So I
we'll share your knowledge today on Ethereum for sure.
oh, looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah. I just did a presentation on the Ethereum merge to London Real to my class,
Nice.
and what an exciting evolution that's occurring in our space now. Um,
And
so
so what's your take on the entire merge? And because I was reading that the Paris upgrade would be very soon, or what is happening with the merge, or when do you think the merge would actually happen? And what's your take on the entire Ethereum merge? That do you really think it's going to be good for the industry? We're going from proof of work to stake. I mean, everything about Ethereum. What's your take on it?
well, it's quite an endeavor, to say the least. It's the largest, in my opinion, it's the largest restructuring that crypto has gone through. When you think of the mass of the Ethereum community and switching the protocol at this juncture with the billions of dollars that are involved with Ethereum, 213 billion just with Ethereum alone, much less what's stacked on top of that, with all the NFTs and all of that,
Right.
uh, and all the apps that are built on it, and the secondary layers, etc. It's a huge undertaking, and moving from proof of work, which is basically a system of proof that the information is correct, by utilizing math. and computational computers to prove the identity is correct, and going to a proof of stake system, which is uh, proving that the information is correct by distributing it amongst uh, computers that are individualized instead of a mining farming community, takes it from basically getting paid for proving the work, which is what the mining system is doing, to taking it and displacing that with a limited amount of investment that an individual or group can do, such as what the exchanges are doing, since most people have their money uh, in central exchanges, and that staking ability, or that amount of money that's put into that, divides that amongst those people. And so when you step back and look at what is happening, it's instead of doing the work and getting paid for it, what is happening is it's being changed to, you put up money in order to be able to make some money. So the whole concept and how it is being delivered, adding to the blockchain, is changing the whole environment process. So when you look at it from the standpoint of, well, with mining, you're looking at it, well, if I don't work today, I don't get paid, but I still have the rest of my life, so
Right.
I can make money tomorrow. Versus the concept of, if I don't do something right while I'm doing my proof here, I get money taken away from my bank. So it's a whole different concept of the space. It's a different mindset. Whereas, think about, I'm not going to make money today, versus if I do something incorrect, or if I don't put in the work, I don't make money. And I can actually have my money taken away from me.
And
So it's that's the basic layer of what's happening with this transition.
and I mean, how would it help? Like, I think I don't think miners would be too happy to get into proof of stake from proof of work. And what is your take on it? That is it going to increase? Is it faster transaction, less gas fee, and we all know less energy for sure. And this entire thing about it being a deflationary asset or not. What is your take on all these things and security as well?
Um, yeah, this is a big upheaval. And, the Ethereum mining community, all of that money that was invested in the mining community for having the computers that do the work, is going away. And as of right now, those miners are right now in, not going to be able to use that equipment. There is some talk about a fork coming off of Ethereum to continue the proof of work, so that the mining machines still are able to do their work,
Right.
but it has not come to fruition at this point. There's a COO. His name is Gao, who is trying to hard fork and continue the proof of work. But as of right now, it's up in the air. So moving to proof of stake is happening. It's the chain that is doing the testing and having the developers do their testing, is coming to completion right now as we speak. And there is a terminal determinant number that has been put in on the chain. So when that number of transactions has been reached, that is when this exact switch will be made from proof of work to proof of stake. And that is coming up, they're saying between September 10th and 15th is when that number will be hit. It's not an exact time because it's a number. So when that number is, that's why there's not an exact time because it's a number on the chain that needs to be reached. So anyway, that is coming up very soon, and then that transformation will immediately occur once that total terminal determinant is reached. Um, so you were asking,
So
I'm sorry, what?
my other thing would be that now, like, so Ethereum in general has, in my point of view, more use case than Bitcoin. And I don't know if you would agree with me on that point. And the thing is that, there are only 21 million Bitcoins. Now that it's coming from proof of work, it's going to proof of stake. Does that mean that, we are going to stop mining Ethereum and they aren't going to be more Ethereums coming up?
Well, a good point. Yes, mining will be stopped. And when you look at this as a whole of switching this massive uh, Ethereum community to a new protocol, a new way of proof, and uh, the massive amount of input that went into that. There have been many test nets, is what they're called, or chains that have been put into this, and that's why this system took so long to occur was because of the massive amount of change that is occurring and the massive amount of people and computational abilities has been uh, transformed into the proof of stake system. And so this was originally, I believe, mentioned to be switched over in 2017. There's been seven uh, different proposals, dates
Right.
that have come and gone because of that. And in the process of switching from proof of work to proof of stake, there was a massive amount of data sets and proofs that were done so that everybody was certain that this was going to work.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that they did take that time to do. As of now, everything is set to occur very shortly here. Um, and in going from proof of work to proof of stake, you were talking about the deflationary aspects.
Right.
So this is a big change. Whereas instead of proof of work, where you were getting paid for proving doing the proof, now it's Ethereum is becoming, you are no longer being paid for it per se with ETH, although the proof of stake is by Ethereum becoming deflationary. So when you do a proof, you are getting paid a portion of the transactional fee that is normally paid through from the proof of work system, but it is being degraded, meaning 70% of the Ethereum is burned. So that's how it is becoming deflationary in that transaction process. And the stakers earn 30% of that transaction fee. So when you think of you're doing a transaction on an exchange, say, and you go into, say, your MetaMask wallet, and you are going to exchange USD, US
Right.
currency, Ethereum, you go into that and you see that transaction fee and that gas fee. So the proof of stakers are now going to get 30% of that. So they're being paid for the work that they're doing. or the staking that they've done, I should say. And by doing that, then they are receiving a monetary payment for their time that they spent. And they also, along with the deflationary aspect of Ethereum, instead of proof of work getting paid Ethereum, uh, then that is now no longer happening. So therefore, the Ethereum is not being issued with the proof of stake system like it was on the proof of work system to pay for the cost of the energy that was used in the proof of work system,
Right.
which the proof of stake is not using that energy.
Energy at
So
all.
it's much more environmentally friendly. And with the carbon emissions and the whole world looking at becoming carbon neutral, this is a system that is 99.95% more efficient, the proof of stake, than is the proof of work scenario. So that's why this was is happening, and in the worldwide uh, how everybody is looking at becoming carbon neutral, which is a necessity for stopping to heat up the world
Yep.
and our CO2 emissions. This is a wonderful time for this to occur, which gives this proof of stake Ethereum momentum in the people's eyes, in my opinion, that this is a much better system. And having that, you know, being, occurring at this point in time is going to put the momentum behind this movement.
And like Bitcoin is still proof of work. So do you think so this happening with Ethereum, would it ever actually flip Bitcoin in terms of market cap or pricing?
Good question. Um, you know, with Bitcoin being limited to 21 million
Yeah.
coins, uh, there, in the future, I can see that happening. Um, and the Bitcoin maximalists might have something to say about that, but with all of the Ethereum community, and there's so much, especially with the proof of stake system becoming much more efficient, and there are so many developers that are working on with the Ethereum community, much more so than Bitcoin, which is, designed to be a store of value. Uh, it's not designed to be a system of work like the Ethereum uh, production um, protocol
So
that the proof of work or proof of stake system is. So yes, the I think the Ethereum community is going to continue to evolve, and that
yeah.
there's going to be much more use of Ethereum moving forward.
And because saying that if Ethereum becomes more scalable and it becomes more secure, so I think a lot of the projects that are trying to run on, say, Polygon or Solana also might just shift to Ethereum.
No, I think not.
No?
Um, no, the um, those systems have their own communities, Polygon and Solana, and they're designed to do what they were developed to do, and they have their own unique niche. And they are continuing like Polygon right now is undergoing the Basel fork.
Right.
Their proof of stake system, they're increasing their transaction speed. in so doing and running into their own difficulties. There was just some news about that with some of the employees chattering about though the system's not ready yet, and the COO is going, "What are you putting that out there for?" Et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, back to the overall gist of secondary layers with the polygons and the Solanas. They are standing their ground, and they do have their niche, and I they will continue, I believe, to to be their own niche. And the although the Ethereum community that has most of the developers, and that's where the action is happening, and that's why the developers, most of them are going to the Ethereum community, looking at this from the standpoint of you know
Right.
what where things are happening, predominantly as this proof of stake is evolving. Um, so
And
looking at this from you were talking about the deflationary aspect of Ethereum, and uh, when this transaction is evolving here, uh, or switch from the protocol, um, the deflationary aspect of Ethereum is going to be what a lot of analysts are saying is the amount of deflationary aspect of Ethereum is the equivalent of a triple halving of
yeah,
Bitcoin. Three times the halving is some of you may have read that,
yes,
and and so if you look at having of Bitcoin as it has happened in the past and will continue in the future, the Bitcoin dips a little bit and then it jumps up. If and this Ethereum deflationary occurrence, which is happening now with the proof of stake, is, is supposedly equivalent to a triple halving at one point in time right now. And the reason for that is because of the what I was talking about earlier with the EIP 1559, which occurred called
yeah,
the London fork, where the transaction fees 70% are burnt now, and only 30% is remaining to be paid to the proof of stakers. So by them burning that Ethereum, and then the other 2.5%, or 2.5 times that to make the triple is from not issuing the ETH anymore. So so this one moment in time is, according to some analysts, being equated to a momentous triple halving of Bitcoin. So bottom line is watch the price of ETH here as this occurs. And then moving on along those same lines, the Ethereum proof of stake was the switchover was originally the concept was to be that you would switch from proof of work to proof of stake, and at the same time the transaction fees would also and gas fees would also be reduced at the same time. But that is not the reality of it in the testing that has occurred across these past few years. They've they've switched that now to where they're just doing the transition right now, and then 6 months or so down the line is when the transaction fees will be reduced.
right,
So that is not the quote unquote Ethereum 2.0 switch that's occurring all at once. It's not. The merge is happening first, and then the staking amount is being delayed for 6 months or so. So if you have ETH stake, you are not going to be able to take that money back for 6 months or so. At that time, that's when the splurge is going to be occurring, and that is when sharding comes in. So sharding is when the gas fees and the transaction fees will be reduced. And basically, what sharding is dividing the amount of work instead of one processor doing it, is splitting it amongst 64 processors or computers. So by dividing that amount of work across 64 uh, stations, then that's how fees become reduced because work is split. So therefore, it can occur quicker or
Right.
64 times quicker than it happens now with the proof of work or with the switch over from the proof of stake until the sharding aspect comes into play. So that is going to occur around 6 months or so down the line. So people that have their stake not withdraw their ETH staked until that occurrence. So that is holding all of those transactions during that time frame. Uh, and so cost of people want to be aware that there is going to be that lapse in time that 6 months, it's not going to be okay, everybody can take their ETH back or unstake their ETH. It has been um, it's going to be done in a system where it's broken up over time. You cannot just automatically take it out because you don't want to have one point in time where everybody can take back their stake or
Absolutely.
there would be an upheaval. So they have already, delineated that over a time process to where that stake can be removed. Moving on from the sharding aspect and looking at the efficiency of the proof of stake system after the sharding effect or the splurge comes into motion here. Then you look at the verge occurring, uh, which is where you get into basically taking the blockchain off chain, and that's where roll-ups occur.
Yep.
Roll-ups is a very advanced computational method of increasing efficiency and increasing speed by taking the information off chain and doing the work off chain so that the chain is free to move along and not being hindered by transactions occurring on chain by allowing it to occur off chain with what's called different systems of roll ups, you can increase the efficiency 100x. So when you combine that efficiency of moving it off chain, and then once transactions, to put it simply, once the transactions have completed, then it's put back on chain. So by taking it off chain, you are increasing the efficiency of it and not clogging up the blockchain from advancing and occurring by doing what's called optimal rollups or
Right.
ZK rollup.
ZK rollups, right?
Right. And those two things are going to allow for a 100x progression in the transaction fees. So if you look at the 64x from the sharding and the 100x from the rollups, and you combine those two, you're looking at a 6400x increase.
Your voice is breaking a bit in the middle.
Oh, that's because my hands are going in front of my face. Sorry. I get emotional on this. I'll have to stop my hands from doing that, but thanks for letting me know.
No.
Yeah, so anyway, that's how you get the moving down the line and down the time of progression of the proof of stake system as it evolves here and progresses, uh, and the more advancements come into place, and increasing the transactional time frame and reducing the transactional fees and the gas fees come into play down the line. It's not happening with the merge, which is occurring right now. And so moving down the line, then the next uh, movement down the proof of stake timeline is the purge, which is where the historical data, some of the uh, test nets information, which clogs up the system, basically. That some of that data that is not needed is going to be removed from the system, and so that makes it for a cleaner system. That is another aspect
Aspect.
or purging. And the final stage, the fifth stage of the proof of stake, is the splurge, and that's where the system gets refined and makes it come with all of the different roll-ups and the sharding that has occurred is basically refining that. So those are the five different
Right.
along the timeline of the merge, the surge, the bird, the purge, and the splurge.
Wow.
It's been
So,
identified.
someone has actually asked a question: is it good to hold ETH now, and how to stake ETH 2.0?
Is it good to hold ETH? Well, yes and no. It depends on the individual. Um, I am not a financial advisor. Don't want to be. But
But
but right now, um, the as this system evolves and the staking occurs and the unknown that it needs to be taken into account, where you stand as an individual and where your financial portfolio is the answer to that. Nobody can give a blank statement in my to what to do with your money. And like I said, I am not a financial advisor and don't want to be. Um, but that being said, with with what's evolving in the community, in the crypto environment, I think that the merge right now has carried us out of the deflationary aspect of what crypto was doing, and the taken us from the regression uh, of November's highs to where we are now. And the
absolutely.
merge has kind of leveled that off. And as you see, the markets are going more sideways right now, and people are walking on eggshells, going, "Is did we hit bottom? Are we gonna go further down?" You
Right.
know, I think that the ETH merge has kind of leveled that playing field off, and that's why we're going sideways right now.
Yeah.
Um, and so staking your money for 6 months depends, to answer the question, depends on where you're at. Where you can stake your ETH is in um, whatever system that you find that you're comfortable with. There's uh, going down that avenue with some of the exchanges. When you look at this from the standpoint of moving from proof of work, where there's mining farms, etc., and now we're going to proof of stake. Well, where the stakers are staking their money is basically into the exchanges, which is the most convenient way for people to stake their money. And about 60% of the Ethereum right now is staked into four exchanges, which is Lido, Coinbase, Kraken, and sorry, I'm not
Binance.
Binance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So about 60% of the ETH is staked in these central exchanges. And you may have read some articles about, well, proof of stake is moving centralized. Well, that's why people are saying that, is because by those exchanges holding 60% of the stake, those exchanges hold 60%
That's
of
that's a
ETH
high
stake.
number to actually hold ETH on the exchanges.
Yes, yes. And that's why people are saying, well, it's becoming more and more centralized. Well, bottom line, if you look at it from a numbers standpoint, that's true. That's very true. And that's concerning people, rightfully so, from the standpoint you had uh, brought up.
And
Uh,
and
I'm sorry.
how many ETH do you need to stake for, people who don't know, I mean, how to stake, or what is the amount that you can stake? Is it any, or is it 32 ETH that you have to stake?
Yes, it's 32 ETH that you have to stake. Um, and to be a validator, um, which anybody can do right now, even
Right.
from your own laptop. And that's how this is getting divided. That anybody can stake ETH. So the bottom line, in order to become a validator, you have to stake your 32 ETH. You have to uh, become stake the 32 ETH, and you have to uh,
And
go on the chain and prove that you have a consensus layer and an execution layer. Um, and by doing, which is a very simple thing to do on the test net, it sounds very complicated and involved, but if you delve into it, it's really not that involved. And then you can become a validator, and from your own laptop, you can you would then be entitled to become a validator by staking your 32 ETH. Um, and so that's how the system by proof of stake is saying, well, it's becoming more decentralized because anybody can do it from even their laptop versus the big, huge mining farms of proof of work. But then other people are looking at it, well, all of the staked ETH, because people don't want to become a validator, et cetera, and do this on their own, um, are just doing it in these four exchanges, which has now come into what you had brought up earlier about the tornado cash. And that's how the tornado cash is getting tied into the 60% ETH that is being staked on these four exchanges, and that the
can you
tornado
can
cash.
you just explain Tornado Cash for the people who don't know what exactly it is?
Sure, sure. Um, well, this is a point of contention in the community right now because what happened was the the uh, the, the feds um, through
And
the I'm sorry,
they arrested the guy. I mean,
I didn't catch that.
so the guy who was doing the Tornado Cash was actually arrested by the police.
Yes, he was, and
It's
that is
it's
that's why there's a big uproar about this
yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
now. But um, the although he was arrested, what happened with his Tornado Cash? is a protocol. It's a computer software. What it does is it's a mixing
Mixer.
protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a mixer, which basically means if you put your money or your Ethereum into this mixer, then it gets mixed with other people's Ethereum, so that when you take it back out, you don't have the same as what you put in. So it's been mixed with other people's, and there's no way with the computational mixing that has occurred of tracing it anymore, any longer. So the Feds, the Office of Foreign Assets, came in and said, you can't do this because it was basically, a uh, source of mixing funds. So the the big uproar is that this is a protocol. This is not an IP address or an individual per se that is being sanctioned. This is a software protocol. So it wasn't, although this individual was arrested for what he was doing, the the Office of Foreign Assets went after the protocol, and the big uproar is, hey, the feds are shutting down a protocol. You can't do this. And so what happened was USDC, the stablecoin USDC, followed that sanction and cut off people from using Tornado Cash anymore. And USDT stablecoin Tether said, no, we're not going, you can't do that. You can't tell us what we can and cannot do. And so the uproar in the community is, well, if the Fed can shut down and sanction a protocol, then then there can shut down staples such as USDC if they don't follow their sanctions, can shut that down. And then MakerDAO, which is the DAI, uh, followed along those sanctions, and they were like, well, if you can shut down USDC, then we don't like that instability, and we're not going to peg our currency or our assets to a stable coin.
Right.
That is huge.
Yeah.
So they said, well, we're going to stake it. We're going to eat. And it's like, then Vitalik got involved. Buterin got involved, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute. You can't do that because ETH is too volatile. You can't, there's no stability there. Look at, how much ETH has dropped, what, 65% since November. You can't peg a stable coin to ETH. And so the community is in a bit of an uproar, and rightfully so, with this evolving down the chain reaction occurring. Shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of scenarios is what this is. And basically the exchanges and Coinbase then started pushing back about the Fed's imposing sanctions, and Michael Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase,
Quite.
said, if you put these sanctions on us, we're pulling out, buddy. We're not going to allow staking in our exchange. You just can't do that. So this is pretty heavy duty stuff that's occurring right now. And this is why it's so exciting to be in this community right now, because just currently evolving as we speak. And that's what's so exciting about this community. When you look at some of these talking heads on that you see online and some of the news, quote unquote, that you see online. And oh, you missed the boat by not getting into this community already, and all of the money has already been made. No, 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 people. The more I get into this protocol, the more excited I get about getting into this protocol because it is such an in an infancy, and that's why you see things like this occurring in this point in time right now, because it is in its infancy, and now is the best time to get into this because it's evolving and changing as we speak.
Yeah,
It's just so exciting.
it is. These are exciting times because there's going to be so many regulations coming up, and there's going to be so much. This is going to evolve very soon because now everyone knows it's something. It's inevitable that this will come up. But now, how this comes up, how this shapes up, how the Fed would get into the regulations, I think is going to be very interesting to see next few years as well.
Oh, definitely. In my opinion, the regulations are definitely lacking from the uh, feds, and what I'm seeing is a very much a reactionary
Yeah.
condition, and not coming out with regulations is inhibiting us and not allowing some of these VCs and hedge funds from coming into this. They are slowly starting to percolate and come into the crypto protocol, but everybody is waiting for some regulation, which is not occurring, and the feds are reacting to um, these occurrences on a one-off scale. And like, you know, right now there's a lawsuit with Coinbase
Yeah.
going on. It's going to set a precedent. But instead of the feds coming out with regulations and saying point one, two, three, this is how it's going to be, which will allow, for exchanges and the VCs and the hedge funds to have something to go on. They're just being reactionary, going to limited lawsuits that are they're saying no, you can't do this and you can't do that, and instead of saying this is a security and this is a commodity and this is how this it needs to be. um,
It
we'll see how this plays out because it's just now happening and occurring.
because it's
And
kind of a situation where every country is taking this differently, right? Some countries this is completely okay, some countries are. So it's in a very interesting period because eventually what matters is how the bigger countries or the developed countries are taking this, because that would really set the route. And I personally believe that the regulations are good for the crypto industry. Maybe not as soon as they come, because that might just, you might have a bit of downfall, but eventually in the long run, if you want the institutions to get in, if you want all the bigger investors to get in, the companies, everyone to get in, I think regulations are important. What's your take on it?
I Oh, I totally agree. I think we're all waiting for the regulations to come in with the crypto community's input.
Yeah.
And that's why there's lawsuits that are coming about now because the community is evolving to that point where things are starting to happen, and because there are no regulations, that now they're putting the federal government is coming in and saying, no, you can't do this. Uh, it's one limited instance instead of putting an overall regulation out there. Um, and overall regulation to put it out there in their stance. And there are, proposals right now that are being put out there. Bipartisan uh, law has been proposed, but it's going to end up going into committees, et cetera, and taking years before it's put into law. It's an ongoing long-term scenario, and so that's why these
Yeah.
lawsuits are occurring right now in this limited perspective,
Yeah.
because there's not an overall one, large regulation being put out there, and it's definitely needed, but with these restrictions, and that's why some of these, you know, like Coinbase is fighting the lawsuits about the securities, with them saying that these are 8 different coins are securities. Coinbase is saying, "Well, wait a minute here."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because by having by putting this out there and putting this lawsuit, they're, putting their foot in the ground and saying, "Wait a minute here," and so let's put our foot in the ground as the crypto community and
Yeah.
make them put regulations in place. That's what's occurring right now.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be very soon. Probably, I mean, soon could mean a year or two, but they will have a bit of regulations coming in because this can't just go like this forever. I personally feel that they got to do something with it because, and the community has become also so big now that it's inevitable to, plus the, I mean, the way the crypto functions, the the way you can transfer Bitcoin, or the transaction speed and way the NFTs have evolved. I think there's so much that has already happened with, because people take crypto just as probably a Bitcoin or a coin or a kind of pricing, but it's not that. It's an entire system that has been developed now.
Oh, exactly, exactly. The um, there's no stopping this community.
Yeah.
It's established. Um, no, we are looking for regulations, but even without, look at how far we've come already. Advances are just exponential. I mean, talking about the merge that's occurring right now, this is just enormous,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be able to be stopped. And the feds realize this, and the protocol is continuing on even without the regulations occurring, and it's exciting, and the advancements that are occurring. I mean, we didn't even delve into the avenues that are advancing with the NFTs community, and evolving into smart contracts with mortgages and with artists, and allowing individuals to retain a portion of their uh, work, or say an artist coming into the field
So
and
I so there's a question
doing
someone
more.
has asked, why the new crypto regulations are killing crypto in America.
Why the new crypto regulations are killing. I
I think
mm,
it's
I
pretty much what we discussed, kind of a thing, where I think it's still not that they are trying to get into the regulations, whereas the crypto community is asking them to get into regulations which is suitable for them and the crypto community as well.
um I don't see that the regulations are killing the crypto in the United States. I see that the regulations are not being put out there, and that the lawsuits that are occurring are the Fed's way of coming back and trying to put limitations on because there aren't regulations that are out there. Uh, so the footprint that's being put out there is one here, one there, one here, one there kind of thing instead of an overall blanket regulation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And,
and
and
this is my answer to this as well. The regulation might be killing the market, but that's for a very short term that you would see as soon as it comes out. But in a long run, actually, regulation is good for the market. You would actually have more investors, and there's going to be kind of a security in everyone's mind trying to invest into crypto, that the regulations are there, the money is, they are safe into it. And I also think that the companies can't, there are a lot of also scam projects and all of these things. So regulations would actually help the crypto community to structure in a way which would be helpful in a long run.
oh, most definitely, yes.
So so I think
The
it's something that is just part and parcel for now. I think with regulations coming in, which will, short term it might affect, but long term is, again, I'm bullish on it.
uh, Without question, you're going to have these issues, and sure, crypto is in a down market or was in a down market. Hopefully, it's just going sideways, and then you know, the crypto winner, we're definitely going to be into, in my opinion, until 2023. Um, and then I think we're going to shoot back up. I'm glad to see that we didn't just shoot back up after this downturn that we had, because when things happen so volatilely,
Yeah.
it tends to occur. So this is actually a good thing that we're moving slowly forward, sideways.
But I have a
And,
very important question for you, which the entire world would be asking everyone. Is the Bitcoin bottom in?
uh, question. Um, there are many that say that we still haven't hit bottom yet. Um, some of the chartists that you see are still saying that the bottom has not come in yet. I think this holding us steady at this point right now, and people waiting to see what's going to happen with it. With the amount of stake that's going to be held for the 6 month period, I think after the merge occurs, you might see a pullback in a bit of a drop per, and that wouldn't be definitely a bad thing as far as um, uh, shaking down some of the crypto community that
Hands,
has
yep.
been hard hit so far, and shaking out some of the bad actors, which will occur if we have another drop, a bit of a drop. But the future looks bright,
Yeah.
and if we do have another drop coming up, which I tend to think that we are going to, um, I don't think that's a bad thing as long as you're aware and you watch your P's and Q's and your portfolio properly and move it accordingly. Uh,
We're losing your voice there.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
So no,
let me talk
I
straight
totally,
into this. So I think it's going to come back up
yeah.
big time in 2023.
Yeah. And and I think we're almost at the end of our show. So what's your one piece of advice you would like to give anyone who is getting into this crypto world? And so a lot of people have this question right now, which I also did make a video about: is it the right time to buy Bitcoin or not? And my answer was, there's never a right time to buy. You could do a DCA and just keep, nobody knows the bottom, really. This is all kind of assumptions we all make, or probabilities on the chart. Even the charts are based on probabilities. So, what's your piece of advice, and what do you think as a long term? How bullish are you on the crypto industry?
My advice for somebody who's looking at getting into this community is dip your toe in. Um, it, there's never the right time uh, that you can say is the best time. Now is the best time. There, there's always a future, no matter what, and the future looks bright.
Right, right.
Um, have
Absolutely.
a dip your toe into it, and as you do, just start with the blue chips. Start with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then take it from there. Start evolving. It's going to be a brighter future. Don't listen to the naysayers and the talking heads and, oh, you missed the boat. You haven't missed anything. There's always going to be something occurring. With the e-cards that's happening, since that was my big topic, I will say watch this community, because with a huge transition that's occurring right now at this time frame, there's going to be a lot of opportunity
Right.
available. So that's how I would
No,
uh,
it's been a great session with you, Scott, and you're full of knowledge, my friend. And I really want to thank you for coming, for taking out time, coming on the show, and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. It's been really helpful, and the insights that you've given for the industry. It's been really nice and great, and I really thank you for all this.
Well, it was an honor, and I hope I shared with the community, and looking forward to a phenomenal future in this industry, and the brightness that is evolving within this, and that's why this Ethereum merge is, right now is so exciting, and looking forward to this evolving into uh, a exponential. Uh, future.
No, absolutely. And we would have to, we would love to have you regularly on the show.
Oh, I love babbling, so this was a lot of fun, and I hope the community, enjoyed our discussion, and looking forward to the brightest future.
No,
So
thank you.
thank you very much.
No, thank you to you as well, Scott. And it's been a pleasure to have you. And hopefully, we'll see you soon next time.
All right, it's been great.
Take take care, Scott.